Okay, so we are going to be modeling the housing, which you can see here is the finished housing. I have material applied, as you can see, the cast alloy steel. And this is kind of a real view graphics rendering of this, a real-time rendering, which a lot of you unfortunately don't have on your computers. But I just wanted to show you what this program can do with graphics. So I'm going to turn that off for now. So you can see that over here in the features tree that there are a lot of individual features that go into making this. And it can be kind of intimidating looking at all of that. But it really breaks down into just individual features. If I go drag this back in time, you can see that it just started out with this little rectangle. And it was just a sketch that was dimensioned and extruded up. And then from there, there was a sketch on top of that rectangle that was extruded up. And then those were merged together. And then I have other features here. I've got these rounded corners called fillets, there and there. And then I have a cut going down to a certain depth. And all of these are driven by sketches. As you can see, I just drew a sketch of the cut that I wanted to make going through there. And then I've got this little extrusion popping out here. And then I've used a mirror feature to add this extrusion here on this side. And so on and so forth. Features added, holes, more mirrors, holes, etc. So this is what we're going to create in this tutorial right now. I'm going to save this and I'm going to close it. And we're going to create a new part. So I'm going to go up here on this right here. I'm going to click on part. Your little dialog box may look different. It may look like this. Or most likely it's going to look like this. And you just want to click on part and press OK. Now you don't see anything going on in here. We're going to start this part on the top plane, which if I click that here, you can see. So I'm going to start a sketch on that. If I select the plane and go to sketch, I can start a sketch right there. Now you can see we're on the top plane. Here's our origin here. We're going to do a rectangle. And there's a bunch of different options. We'll cover this more in class. But if you click down here, you can see that there's some different options. We're going to do a center rectangle. I'm going to click there. And I'm going to click right here on the origin. And then I'm just going to move my mouse. I'm not going to drag. I'm not going to hold a button and drag. I'm just going to move my mouse and I'm just going to find a spot. Now, if I press this check mark here or press escape, I am done with that rectangle command. However, everything's in blue, so I have to define this. It shows underdefined down here at the bottom, and we always have to define our sketches. So I'm going to go to Smart Dimension here, and I'm going to click on this line here. And it's asking me for the length that I want. So I'm going to type in 6. And for this, I'm going to click here, drag it over here, 2.625, press enter. You can see that it didn't round it, but it's only showing a precision of 2 positions, numeric positions after the decimal point. So it's still there. You can see it over here. It's just rounding. It's just showing a rounded dimension. Okay, so I'm going to press escape. You can see that this is fully defined. Another reason why, another way that it's defined is the center of this rectangle. We selected the origin. If we did another type of rectangle and I applied those dimensions, it would still be floating around in space. I would have to tell it I want the center of this rectangle to touch that center point. We'll go over that more in class. Okay, I'm done with this sketch. I'm going to accept it by going here, clicking here. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Features tab, and I'm going to extrude this. And it's asking me how far up do I want to extrude this. So there's a bunch of different ways that we can extrude. We can go up to surfaces, up to a vertex, which is like a point. We can offset from a surface. We can go in two different directions. We can go, there's all kinds of options here. We're going to just stick with the basics. I'm going to go 0.25 up and press the check mark to accept. Okay, we have our first feature. And you can see, if I click this little arrow here, you can see that our sketch here is driving this feature. And that allows us to be able to edit that. Okay, so now we're going to do another sketch, and we're going to select our surface here to do our sketch on, because a sketch always needs a location where the sketch is going to occur, and that can either be a plane that we can select, or we can create, or a flat surface. In this case, we are going to click on this surface, and we're going to go to Sketch, and it's going to auto-rotate to give us that normal view, is what that's called, for us to sketch on. Okay, now we're going to do another rectangle. Same thing, center rectangle. Remember, you can have your options here if you want to, but the last one that we used will always be right there for us. So we're going to click there again, center rectangle. The center, you can see, sorry, I don't have a mouse to point at my mouse, but you can see the little icon below the pencil has two little white dots. So it shows the center of the circle and one of the corners. So it's asking for the center first. We're just going to click here for our center, and then it needs a point. And I'm just going to click right here on this line. It's going to add a coincident. You can see the little yellow behind the pencil. It's going to assume that I want that to always be touching that line, which I do. So I'm going to click there. It's added what we call a relation. You can see that right there. It's saying, okay, this point always touches this line. And because it has these diagonals here, that works as almost like a mirroring. So that's clicking down here. Okay, so now we've got some blue here, and we've got some black. The black is defined, and the blue is underdefined. And so you can see too that if I was to go and drag this, it needs to know, well, how wide is this, right? It knows where these are. I can't move these. But if I just click and drag on here, it needs to know how wide that is. And it wants us to apply a dimension here of 4. So now everything's in black, and it says fully defined down here at the bottom. So we are done with this sketch. We can click to accept. This is going to be extruded. And this is going to be extruded, how high? 3.5. I don't know why it didn't rotate it. I'm going to rotate. We'll go over how to do this in class. 3.5 up, and this is going to merge with this other part, which we want. Okay. You should be saving this as you go. I already have done this a million times, so I don't need to save, but you can see that I haven't even saved it up here and there's a star next to it. So you should go to File, Save As, find your USB location where we're going to be saving our stuff, saving this as housing and pressing save. And then you should be saving throughout your work all the time because SolidWorks is notorious for crashing. Okay. Next, we're going to round some of these corners, and rounding those is, we use the term fillet. So you can see that right here. We're going to click there, and then you can see the dialog box is asking for some information, items to fillet, the size that you want, and there's a whole bunch of other options down here for more advanced fillet creation. We're going to keep it symmetric, which means that it is going to be the same size on both sides of the edge that we're going to be selecting. So I'm going to enter my number here first. This is going to be 0.25. And then I'm going to come into this box where it says items to fillet. And we want to click here, here, here. I don't know why it's not. Oh, full preview. There we go. I'm going to spin my model and go here. And then I'm also going to click that corner, that corner, that corner, and that corner. And I'm going to click OK to accept. Okay, good time to save. Click the save button. Okay, so now we have some features that we have created here. You can drag with this little hand, you can drag this bar back, and then you can drag it forward. And you can see the different steps we've taken. And then you can always go back. What's nice about SolidWorks and other solid modeling 3D programs is you can go back and you can edit these things. So you can click the little arrow here, and we could go in and we can change the sketches and we can change the feature. So if I wanted to, I could click on this sketch and I can go to Edit Sketch, and I can change the size of this, and then I can click here to update it, and the model will change to reflect those changes that I've made in my sketch. In addition to that, you can also go back and you can edit the features. So I could change the height of my extrusion. I could change the size of my fillets, or I could remove edges that I don't want to apply the fillet to. Okay. For now, we're happy with what we have. We're going to add another fillet. I'm going to click here. I'm going to type in my size first, 0.125. And my items that I'm going to fillet is this whole face. That's all these edges right here. I could click all of those lines and it would do the same thing, but it's going to be faster if I just click the face. I'll show you how to do the lines on this side. It's going to auto select, and I'm going to click there. It's selecting the entire chain. Okay. Okay, now we are going to get ready to do our first cut into this shape that we have. So we're going to do a sketch on this surface, and what we've done before, and you can always do it this way, I'm just going to show you a different way. We would select the surface, and then we would go to Sketch, or you could go to the Sketch tab, click Sketch, and then it's going to ask me, well, what surface or plane do you want to do your sketch on? and we would select here, and it would auto rotate so we could sketch on that. Or we're supposed to be practicing how we tumble our model here. I can click here to the view orientation, and I can click down, and you can see that this box allows us to go down and select the surface that we want to look to normal. So if I wanted to look to the top of this, I could click right here on this surface, and it's going to look down onto that surface. If I wanted to look to the front, I would click this surface here, and it looks this way. I can also use these: top, front, bottom, left, right, back, that kind of thing. So I could either click here, or I'm just going to click here. Okay, now I'm going to sketch on this surface. Okay, we want to do another rectangle, and what we normally would do is we do another center rectangle to lock it into here. However, we are going to do a corner rectangle this time to practice our dimensioning, and also coming up later, we're going to set this up because we are anticipating changes to this sketch in the future. So I'm just going to click once here and click a second time there. Okay, now everything's in blue. Now we have a lot to define here. So I'm going to click on Smart Dimension here, and I'm going to create a dimension between this edge and this sketch line. So you can select it in either order, but I want to click an edge, edge, and then I'm going to drag my dimension out here. I'm just going to move my mouse, and I'm going to give that a size of 0.375. And I'm going to do the same thing from the side. Edge, edge, make sure you're selecting the right one, 0.375. And going to do that here, 0.375, and right here, 0.375. Okay, everything's in black. It says fully defined. Great. Okay, I'm going to move my model around so we can see better what's going on. Okay. Okay, now we are going to do a cut extrude into the model this way. So the book has thrown its first curveball on purpose to us. It says, oh, we need to go back and we need to add fillets in this sketch. Okay, well, that's easy. We're going to go and we're going to highlight our sketch here, and we're going to go to Edit Sketch. And we have done the model fillets, and we can also do that in the sketch too, and that's done here. Sketch fillet. Okay, the size that we want for these is 0.15, and I'm just going to click on all these lines really close to that corner, and I'm going to hit the check mark. There we go. And we are done with updating our sketch. We're going to click here. And now I'm going to turn the model again. Okay, so we're going to do our cut extrude now. Okay, so we could do this a bunch of different ways. We could go to Features, find our extruded cut right here. What it's going to do is, if we do it in this way, we are telling it, okay, well, I want to do this feature. And then it's going to say, well, what sketch do you want to use to do that feature? So we'd have to go here, and then we would have to select the sketch. I like having the sketch already selected and then going to the feature. So I'll show you that way really quick, and then I'll show you the other way, which is a little bit more complicated. So if you do it my way, where you select the sketch first and then go to the feature, it's already lined up for you to type in the value that you want there. If you do it the other way and go to extruded cut, it's going to ask you what sketch. And sometimes you can click on the sketch, or sometimes it's going to be lost in here and you're going to have to find it in this tree here. You're going to have to click the down arrow, go down, find your sketch that way. Okay, you can choose whichever way you want to do it, but I recommend you just find one technique that you like and stick with it. 3.375 is our value down. It's going blind. It's going in this direction. We're going to click the check mark to accept. And you can see we've got a hole based on our sketch. All right. If I was to change the appearance here, I could show where the hidden lines are. You can see what's going on inside here and behind us. You can see all of the stuff going on. Most of the time we use shaded with edges. If you get used to doing wireframe and stuff, you can see how quickly things get busy and how difficult things can be. You can get lost and overwhelmed with what's going on. So we use that. We usually kind of turn things on and off as we go. Okay, good time to save. Make sure you're saving. Okay, we want to do a feature on the front surface of this. So I'm going to practice my views here. I'm going to click the down arrow and I'm going to go to front. There's our front. Okay, this is the surface we want to do our sketch on. So I'm going to go to sketch, click sketch, select this as a surface, and here we are. I'm going to do a center circle right here, and I'm just going to place it. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can see it's doing a preview of a line there because it knows I'm probably going to want to have it vertical of the origin, but it doesn't really matter. We're just going to draw it out, something like that. You notice after I am done with drawing, say, circles, I'm only doing one. I can either hit escape or I can click the check mark. I'll do that one more time. Circle, click, move my mouse, click. I'm still in the circle command, so it's waiting for me to add another one, but I don't want to add another one. I want to apply dimensions. So I can press the escape key or press the check. Okay, I'm still in the sketch. I'm going to dimension this circle. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a diameter. I'm going to click here on the outside edge, and I'm going to move my mouse here. 3.25. Okay, so we have the size of the circle we want. However, we can see that it's still underdefined. We need to put a X value and a Y value, and we need to give it a relation so it knows exactly where on that part it's supposed to be located. Okay, so we do know by looking at the book, we want the center point of the circle to be 1.875 down from this top edge. So we can do that with a dimension. Okay, center the circle, then the line, or we can do the line and the center of the circle, it doesn't matter. Click the line, move your mouse, click, 1.875, enter. Okay, so it has how far down, but it needs to know, well, how far left or right, in the X, positive X or negative X direction. So we want this point, I just pressed escape, so it needs this. So we want to tell it, well, I want this point to be vertical, exactly vertical with our origin here. So we have to add a relation to that. So we can go, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. There's always different ways to do things. You can add a relation by going up here. This is the way that the book likes you to do it. Add relation. We can say, we can add a relation between this point and here. And here's some relations that you can do. A coincident is not what you want because that would want to drag that down to there, and it's not going to let you because you've already put in how far down you want that to go. Horizontal is not what you want. You want a vertical relation, right? Almost like an invisible line here. You want this to be vertical, so we're going to click vertical. And now it knows, I'm going to click the check mark. Now it knows this point and the center point have a vertical relation with one another. Okay, you can see fully defined, all in black. Excellent. Accept the sketch. Okay, always a good time to save. Now we want to extrude this circle out toward me, in this case, toward you. I'm going to do it my way where I select the sketch first, then I go to features and go to extruded boss base. Okay. Okay, right now it's going way out here, 3.375. We want to change that to 0.25. Now the book has a different way that it wants you to do that. That's using Instant 3D where you can drag it out, but you need to set the increments on how far you can drag, and it works like with a snap feature and all of that, and it's fine if you are always extruding at certain increments, but in this case it could be anything, so I like to do it this way. Okay, so 0.25, we're not going to merge in this case because we're going to mirror this across the other side. So I'm going to uncheck the merge feature here and going to hit the check mark. Okay, now you can see too, right here it says solid bodies 2. Because we didn't merge that last one, we have one merged body, and now we have a second that we have created separate from each other. So I'm going to say this a million times on these videos. There's a bunch of different ways that we can mirror, which we're just about to do. I like to create a separate body and mirror that across. But if we left that merged, it's going to look like that for you guys. If it's merged, we're going to be mirroring a feature and not a body. I guess we'll just leave it. I'll go back and check that. Actually, sorry, let's take that back. I'm going to leave it the way that I did it. And we have our two solid bodies. Now, if we go to mirror, which we have here, we need to tell it what mirror plane we want to use. Now, if I click this down arrow here, our tree appears. And if I just hover over these, I can see the existing planes that are always default with the part creation. I'm going to use the front plane as a mirror there, and we don't have a secondary. If we had this combined, we would use that boss feature to mirror across that plane, but because they're separate, it's a body. So I'm going to click down here, and then I'm just going to click here. You can see it's giving the preview. Okay. If it doesn't show a preview, you might need to play around with these down here. Okay. I don't have these merged. I don't have the knit surfaces set. It doesn't really matter at this point. We'll worry about all that later. I'm going to hit the check mark. Now we're going to do another circle that's extruded on this surface and mirror that across to this surface. So I'm going to select here and I'm going to go to Sketch. I'm going to speed up a little bit. I'm going to click the circle here, click the center, move my mouse, drag it out, click, press Escape, Smart Dimension, click Circle. We're going to make the diameter of this 1. Now we're going to add some relations to that. I'm going to press Escape, Dimension, click Center a Circle, and Line. Move my mouse off to the side, click, type in 0.75, enter. And then I'm going to press Escape. I'm going to add a relation between this point and here, and I want to have a vertical relation. Add relation, click, click, vertical. Accept the sketch, span the model. My sketch is selected. Extrude out. .5. We're going to do it the other way this time. 0.5, we're going to merge the result, and then we're going to mirror the feature this time. So I'm going to click here. Accepted that. I'm going to spin the model around this way. Mirror. Click here. This is my mirror plane. Feature to mirror. Click, click. Save your model. To learn more about our program, check us out at fvcc.edu, and for more tips and tricks, subscribe to this channel.